to Johnny Unleashed, where the world of cannabis growing meets the world of all things growing. This is just a document of my unorthodox style and just trying to becoming more self-sufficient. So roll one up, tune in, and let's do this.
Yo, what's up? It's trying this whole Johnny Unleashed thing again. We kind of got some fucking rough shit going on here. So bear with me as we're as I'm trying to get this all situated here. We'll so we don't want to go full screen. I got no control when I do that. Anyways, so what's up, everybody? We're fucking rounding out the end of last week gardening. Learned a whole bunch of shit with worms. Had some issues in the cannabis garden. So we'll get into all that. And we'll fucking see how this goes with the second episode, the second vlog of Johnny Unleashed. What's going on, everybody? Fucking howling joining this live. Grateful's here. What's up, guys? Let's start with that fucking let's start by fucking rolling up a joint because I haven't smoked all goddamn day. Let's start with the fucking worms, man. So we'll jump right into the worm talk because I had this issues. I've been having these issues that I didn't really recognize as an actual issue. What I had was these so basically what I found out is there's a few different types of breeding worms. What I thought I had ordered, or what I actually did order, was fucking red wiggler worms. These fucking apparently there's a company out there that when they sell you these fucking red wiggler worms, they also say that there might be some blues mixed in there. But what I found is that the majority of the fucking worms I got are a bunch of blues with some reds mixed in. So that's a problem, especially when you're trying to grow your population. So what happens is when you've got two different types of worms in there, they can't breed because the way the worms breed is they fucking cross over each other and they just by rubbing and passing onto each other. So if you've got a different kind of worm in there and it's trying to cross over there, you're missing a breeding opportunity. So if I've got only one type of worm, every time a worm crosses, it's going to fucking breed potentially, right? Well, if it doesn't breed, like the Indian blues don't breed with the red wigglers, is what I found out. So now all this breeding shit that I've been trying to do and amp up my worm population is fucking going really slow because I didn't realize I had mixed worms. Like you could barely tell the difference between your Indian blues and your red wigglers. I wish I'd pulled up a fucking video or something to show because it's really fucking really difficult to tell the difference. Two of the easiest ways is the red wigglers clitellum is much more pronounced than the Indian blues are. Now the clitellum is the fucking turtleneck that you see like worms, like when you see a cartoon worm, how it has the fucking it always has that big puffy thing around its neck. That's its clitellum. And the red wigglers have a more pronounced fucking clitellum on there than the Indian blues do. And then the second thing is when you see an Indian blue like stretching itself out, this thing will like fucking double or triple itself in size as it's doing that, and the red wigglers won't. They're more of a slow, like inchworm crawling fucking thing, whereas the red wigglers really start to stretch out. So when I started looking through the bins and I'd seen that I got a mixed fucking an American worm bin, I realized that that's my reason why my breeding is really slowed down. So during this research, though, like I've been trying to find a new source or a source of red wigglers, and there isn't anybody within 2 fucking hours, within a 2-hour drive of where I'm at, that'll have red wigglers available. And actually, I think like, so I know that Captain Matt's and the worm people, they're close to me. Adirondack Worm Farms, they're the closest ones, but those are like 3 hours from me. They're fucking damn near New Hampshire and shit. So I can't fucking, I don't know. I'm trying to like find a trustful source of red wigglers because I need to buy at least another pound right now. I have to have one strain, like not one strain, but one breed of worms to give this an actual go. Because if I'm slowing down my production at all, it's not going to be any sort of beneficial whatsoever. Grateful asked, like, why do they put Indian blues in with them? I honestly don't know. I think what happened is they slowed down their population or some shit like that, or maybe they are doing their breeding with a mixed population. It is okay. So now I haven't bought worms in a long time. So they do compost. They do make worm castings. So if you've got one bag and you're not trying to amp up productions, chances are, like me, I haven't even ever noticed. I knew there was a difference between red wigglers and Indian blues and night crawlers, etc., but I ordered red wigglers, so I didn't fucking think I had a mixed strain of, I keep saying strain, a mixed bag of worms. So when I decided to fucking amp up and actually give it a go and try to have a worm farm and sell worms and sell worm castings and shit locally, when I've started down this rabbit hole now, that's when I realized it's a different game. My little urban worm bag isn't going to be enough anymore, and I've got to have a mixed population, or I can't have the mixed population of worms. So now I'm on the fucking search for a local company, hopefully a local company, or at least a trustworthy source that's got a fucking pound or more of fucking red wigglers that are trustworthy, so that I can start my fucking worm farm up, or continue my worm farm, because right now I'm seeing really slow breeding. So what I did, like last week or so, it was a week, I had taken a bunch of, so I made up some worm chow food. It was chicken meal, chicken chow. Yeah. Like, so baby chicken food. I put some Montana Grow in there, for like basalt as like a rock dust. It helps with digestion, etc., So I wanted to try and use Montana Grow, which is heavy in silica. Obviously good when you go to do your top dressing, you add some fucking heavy silica in, like right before flour. Now you've got a really good, strong silica boost. Kind of my thinking. So I wanted to use Montana Grow as my rock dust. And so what the fuck was I saying? I'm trying to figure out where to find a trustful source and get, so my breeding, the food. So I put a bunch of the worm chow. I had food processed a bunch of like cabbage leaves, some cucumbers, a little bit of tomatoes and shit, just to make like a big mash of shit, and then added a whole bunch of that worm chow in there with the rock dust, and just made a strip down my one side of the mortar tote, right? So they say you don't add any more food until that food is gone. I was hoping to see it like get consumed in a couple of days. This was like 3 days after starting this, the breeder bin, which is just a mortar tote, like a medium-sized mortar tote from fucking Lowe's, Home Depot, or whatever the fuck. So I took that, and I took some mushroom compost, because I'm still working on my compost bin. We'll get into that in a bit, but I some mushroom compost, put that in my mortar bin, transferred all my worms. So this was after ending a 3-week cycle of this already. So I started a breeder fucking barrel already. So this second one that I'm doing is with the same worms. So I just remove the worms from their bedding and all the cocoons. The reason you want to do that is getting the cocoons out is important. The older worms, the breeding worms, if they start getting baby worms in there and cocoons and shit in there, what they do is they'll actually stop breeding and make sure that the baby worms and shit actually have food for their consumption. So the breeding actually goes on a halt when you do that. So that was cool to learn out. So you have to separate the worms from the bedding. So that's what I did just over a week ago, I think now. And then gave them that you just put it in a strip. That way it's in a long strip. And then what happens is the worms, as they're in there eating, they're crawling all over each other and they're mating their brains out. Right. So I did that one strip and I was hoping to see it consumed within a few days. And like yesterday, this was after about a week. Like I said, yesterday there was still a little bit left, but like it started to get that mycelium, other shit started to like come in, the fruit flies, etc. So I was like, yeah, that's done. And then I give them another fresh line of the same shit. And then I put the remainder of that shit that I mixed up in my big bag. We'll see now. There was some good worms up in that breeding bin. They look like they're doing happy. They're doing all right kind of deal, but you can definitely tell it's a mixed bag of shit because like when you see somebody else's fucking mortar toad of breeding worms, they're fucking insane. They're big worms, fucking a shit ton of them. And that's not what I'm seeing in mine. So when I knew I had that problem, that's when I went down that fucking research. Oh yeah. Well, I'm reaching for my tip here as I roll this joint. Shout out BGG. This is his Apple's Spice. This is how he sent it to me. So, oh yeah, I got a different camera here. So yeah, this is Apple Spice. He sent it with this logo and the seeds on the top. Apple Spice photo film. Just saw that there as I was reaching for it. But yeah. Shout out the homie BGG. Yeah, so the worms are doing good though. Like I'm definitely learning a lot, and it's not as intimidating as it was. Like when I was talking to fucking my boy, the Reverend Pirate Frog, I was telling him, said, dude, I don't know why I'm nervous. I've had a worm bin for a while. I've started, I've stopped, I've fucking done a bunch of shit with these things. Why am I nervous to like start up this breeding program? And now that I'm past that, now that it's already started up and I'm actually getting into the research and etc., it's not so intimidating. It really isn't that intimidating. I'm just the type of person, like I said in the first episode, I'm the type of person that consumes information differently. Like reading something or hearing something for the first time, it really doesn't stick with me. So I get really nervous over shit like that. But anyways, fucking. So yeah, anyways, sourcing new worms is kind of where I'm at with the breeding project of my worms right now. Because we don't have a good solid source of actual red wigglers. So I'm gonna keep the trays growing for now until I can source a good fucking a trustworthy source of these red wigglers to get my shit started. But I'm just gonna keep going with what I've got now because they are making castings, they are breeding. I do see cocoons inside of the bedding. So as I was separating the breeders out, I am getting cocoons. I'm sure it's a lot less than it should be because, like we said, they're not all red wigglers. But yeah, that's where we're at with that. The compost bin. So I got 3 pallets I screwed together. Yeah, so grateful if I just seen your message here. If you got yours from Uncle Jim's, check them because they might be blues, man. They might be blues. I was watching some other videos and some dude said something specifically about Uncle Jim's, and I was like, really? What are you talking about? You get blues from Uncle Jim's? Because I ordered red wigglers. And yeah, turns out that Uncle Jim's Worm Farm is the company that is. So yeah, check them. Anyways. So yeah, the compost. So I took 3 pallets, 1, 2, 3. I took 5 pallets. I got 2 in the back, 2 on the sides, 1 in the middle. and they're all screwed together so that I got 2 separate bins. So for composting, because you're supposed to start one bin, and then when that's going, you're not really supposed to add any more to it. I've heard different mixed bags, and you can keep adding, you just keep mixing kind of deal, and then when it gets to a point, you do stop adding. So yeah, this is another one of those things I'm nervous about is composting. But I did have some like hinges laying around. Like, so I'm a carpenter, right? So I had some hinges laying around from other jobs and shit, like extra shit that I had bought. And I was like, man, I got these like big wood pieces my buddy dropped off. He thought I could use them as a bench or some shit. And I was like, all right, yeah, someday I'll use them. And sure as shit, I looked at those and I was like, dude, those are fucking perfectly sized to make doors for my compost bin. So I got hinges. I got 2 doors on these things. So it's super fucking dope. I've already started adding just a bunch of greens in there. Now I got myself this fucking, it's like it's a fucking weed eater, but with a fucking bowl on top of it. So it's from the company Works, and it's a leaf shredder. And I got it specifically because the leaf mold and shit and like shredding the material up just helps break it down quicker. So if you've got smaller material, it's got more surface area for microbes and to break down quicker. So I got this thing in hopes that I could break down like thicker grasses and leaves and shit in the yard. But when the grass has a thick stalk on it, this thing doesn't work the greatest. So I haven't put too much in the compost pile because of that. And I'm not really sure what avenue I want to go, because I really do want to have shit shredded and broken down, because like as I'm going around, or as time progresses through this fucking growing season, shit's just getting taller and thicker and taller and thicker. I'm not like running my fucking weed eater all the time anymore and shit. I'm seeing a lot of beneficial animals and insects and all sorts of life on my little fucking 1 acre property, man. It's dope as shit to see, but yeah, I don't have a means to like break up this bigger stuff, and I'm not even sure it would just take far too long for some of these bigger fucking anything you would call a stick, I guess. And if it's even if it's green, like a piece of fucking grass that just grew in the stalk of it was too thick, that this fucking Works thing, leaf shredder, is not breaking it up. So I might be thinking about a fucking wood chipper, that kind of deal, because like even with a wood chipper, you could put like fucking your cardboard in the wood chipper and that breaks it up. So now you got shredded cardboard inside of your fucking shredded leaves and shit. And it's just going to really speed things up. So that's the avenue I'm after right now. So I haven't, because I can't afford to buy a fucking wood chipper, I haven't really given much more thought to my compost bin other than that. But as far as plants around the garden going, man, this July planting, it's the first time I've ever done succession planting outside in my garden. First time ever. I've only ever done like you start your first crops and that's it. Your crops are done at fucking July. Like my broccoli last year, I was like, oh, that was fun. I got fucking 10 dinners worth of fucking broccoli for 2 people. And now I got no more broccoli. Well, then this year, first of all, this year with expanding my garden, I got already 4 times the fucking broccoli because I got 4 more places to put it. But then earlier this year, I started 1 batch of broccoli. We got that harvested, and then right behind it started another, because the season is long enough for that specific crop to grow twice. So this is the first time I've done that. So I've got some burgundy broccoli that's gone out. There's like 6 plants of those that went out the latest, so that's a little bit behind, and I'm kind of worried that that's going to be ready before frost hits. But it's tough to tell. So I don't know. It's really little right now. But then next to that, I got the I can't remember if it's the Waltham 79 or the one I grew last year right next to it. But it's big and it's doing better. So, but unfortunately, the slugs are getting on that. I don't think it's going to hurt the flowering at all, because they're still big. They're still looking good. But just getting fucking ravished. You could see the leaf damage from the slugs and shit on that. Not too bad, but enough that it's annoying. the loofah I've only got 2 loofah on it, but it's flowering like crazy. The leaves are fucking up on the top of the arch. The leaves are fucking crazy. Like it's thick as shit up there, but there was only one, it was one plant on each side of the arch. So it's really thin as it goes up the sides. And then when it got to the top, it was like, I don't know what to do. So it just started fucking going everywhere. But I only got 2 of the loofahs. So I'm sitting there, 2 loofahs, hoping for more. Don't know. First time I've ever grown loofah. So just letting that go. Then I restarted some new cucumbers. Those are looking good. They're starting to stretch out. I put a donator pumpkin in there too to see what it would do. But the last donator pumpkin I got going in my yard is just absolutely insane. So from last week to this week, this donator pumpkin, I had to pick it up off the sidewalk, put it in a different bed. And then it continued to grow like towards one of my fucking jalapenos. So I had to move it again. This thing is huge. It's with these gigantic fucking dragon head leaves and shit. It's crazy. So I'm curious to see what kind of pumpkins are going to come out of that. What have you. And then, so yeah, the cucumbers growing up in the other bed with the one donator pumpkin. And then like my tomatoes, they're getting ready to finish up. I think I got blight, man. I get blight every year. I got to do some research on it because I quickly like Googled tomato blight, and what it's saying is you got to like trim that shit off. You burn those leaves. You don't compost it. It's fucking nasty. And I'm like, man, that seems like a lot. Like, I doubt everybody's doing that every year. So that just seems like, I don't know. That seems like excess. Like one of those motherfuckers that gets really worried about shit and really doesn't. I don't know. They're just paranoid. Oh, you got to burn all the, I don't know. I honestly don't know. So I got to fucking do a little more research into the blight situation with my tomatoes because they get it every year now. So there might be something to that, but it might not be that necessary. It might be as simple as crop rotation. Instead of putting them in the same fucking bed every time, do a crop rotation so they're not going in the same bed with that potential for blight. I don't know, but like I said, it's not a problem for this year. I'm gonna have tomatoes. I'm gonna have enough to make some sauce with. Harvested a bunch of them yesterday, and they're looking good. The other thing I got in that bed too is I got this fucking like black basil, blue basil, whatever it is. It's purple. It's beautiful, and it is so loud compared to like the other basils that I've ever grown that I'm letting it go to seed so I can fucking try and have seeds for next year. The other things I'm letting go to seed is all my cover crop that I had planted this year. I don't want to keep buying shit like that. So I'm going to try and see what I can harvest of all the cover crop seeds that I planted and then start a new batch in a bigger area, like a different spot on my lawn. I was actually thinking about like terminating the grass and putting a bunch of fucking cover crop in a bigger patched area, letting that shit grow up to fruition, and then using the stalks and shit of that as number one for mulch, because mulch is a motherfucker every goddamn year, and 2 as seeds for next year's cover crop something I was really thinking about trying to find a space. The reason I got that boost of confidence is one of the fucking plants that was a cover crop has these like beautiful, like triangle, spiky fucking seeds on it. And it was like, holy shit, those are the seeds I planted. I was like, oh, duh, just harvest the seeds and fucking never have to buy another fucking cover crop again. So that's where I'm at there. My Hella Jelly mom, she was in a 15-gallon pot, and dude, it's flower time. In fucking upstate New York, it is flower time. So I was expecting my Hella Jelly to really start to fucking stretch out on me, and I'm going to see this like beautiful. Yeah, it didn't happen. I even top dressed not too long ago and gave her some fucking worm castings and some craft blend, and she's just kind of stalled out. It's like This plant is so smart. She knew she was in a small enough container. She knew she was out of food. So she's holding herself back from stretching so that she could put as much of her energy as she can into the flowers. Now, I waited a week and a half, like after top dressing, before I've come to this conclusion. I'm like, why isn't this bitch fucking growing or stretching or anything at all? She's literally just like stalled for the past 2 or 3 weeks. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Especially now when I seen it over the last week, not seeing any stretch on this girl, and it is literally flower season. It's like, bro, I gotta do something. So, one of the jobs, the same fucking place I got the big ass crate to make my fucking DIY worm bin in, is the same dude brought me another one because he had wanted some custom shit made. So I made him like a fucking bar for his wedding, etc. And he had brought me another one of those fucking big wooden boxes from his job. So I fucking cut half of that off and made like some shelves with the top half. And then Jess goes, you know, that bottom of that would make a really good garden box. I was like, you don't got to fucking tell me twice. I dragged that shit over yesterday, dragged that shit over to where Hella Jelly was. And I was looking at her and that box and her in the box. And I was like, yep, you're getting fucking up potted right now. So I took that 15-gallon Hella Jelly and put it inside of this big fucking wooden garden box now that I got. And hopefully we're going to get something out of her and some good meds there. Still got a couple. I got my Portugal Reds, the fucking red pepper hots. They're doing pretty good. I did see that you're not going to get much fruiting out of a 3-gallon pot with peppers. So I had 2 pepper plants. One of them was a just a regular green bell, and then the other one was like a purple, really purple. But the tomatoes on this purple fucking green pepper are really small. They're like 2 inches tall. They only get 2 inches high, maybe, fucking, if that, maybe 3 on some of the bigger ones. And it was like, am I stunted? But then I look at the same plant that was in a bigger pot and the peppers were just that small too. So I was like, I guess they're just small peppers. It wasn't necessarily the 3-gallon pot, but there was only so many fruit. There was like 3 or 4 fruit on the 3-gallon pot comparatively. So So harvested a bunch of those yesterday and a bunch of the greens. Dude, those fucking purple bell peppers. I'm definitely trying to keep seeds from these because I don't know what it was, but they taste like a jalapeno taste, but without the heat. So could you imagine eating a fucking tasty jalapeno and not burning your fucking mouth off? It's kind of what the vibe I was getting from this thing. I was like, oh, that's kind of fucking interesting. Now I can, like, for those people who don't like the heat, now I'm a heat guy. I can eat a fucking hot pepper and let my bald spot sweat from here to fucking my walk to Florida because I don't give a shit. I like the heat. Some people don't. So, like, in order to have that jalapeno flavor without the heat, I was like, ooh, man, we can make some fucking cool ass fucking recipes and Mexican shit like that, like especially for like the kids and etc. So I'm definitely gonna try and save the seeds from that and see what we come up with them from next year. So. But the corn I planted, that's doing good. I was nervous at first. I have never grown corn intentionally. I've had some like organic blue corn that I put out or had somewhere for something, like did some sprouting or something and had some just show up accidentally and let those grow, but it wasn't like an intentional thing. So intentionally planting my corn, I was extremely fucking nervous that I wasn't going to be able to, it wasn't going to come up. Like I planted it, first of all, I planted it in fucking like a hot compost mix, like straight into the compost, but it had like been rained on for 2 weeks. So it wasn't like, it was spread out in the yard, fucking killed the grass, killed the whatever, put some mulch down and then planted this corn. And now it's finally starting to come up. It's like, fuck, it's got to be 6 inches tall now. So I'm excited about that. And then the red winter wheat. I have for sure never grown wheat before. And it's hard now because I know exactly where I planted it. But like my dogs, they keep trying to walk through it because it just looks like the grass. So I got to keep the fucking dogs out of it and everything else. But like, it's doing good too. It's just really fucking tall, really tall grass at this point. So it's just fucking fun to see something I've never grown or never thought about or never even watched grow that I planted now, and I'm going to grow it to fruition and hopefully harvest the fucking wheat berries from, maybe get some straw from that and whatever else. But yeah, like, just it's fun with the different shit I haven't planted this year, just watching it grow like this. We've got some round zucchini that we just planted out this year too. It's so awesome. Like, I can't wait to see this thing start fruiting. This is a new plant this year. I just did garlic this year for the first time, corn this year for the first time, the wheat this year for the first time. It's all exciting to watch. And that's kind of like why I started my smaller beds in the first place, was so that like I can learn a little bit about what it is I'm planting. Like with the broccoli, I planted it last year. I learned how it grew. I learned this, I learned that. And then this year I was able to like expand on my broccoli. So it was the whole point, to see it actually coming to fruition this year. It's just been awesome. Well, it's also because I've had the time, because I started my own carpentry business. So it's created more time for me. Rather than the old job I was working at in the steel mill, working fucking 60 plus hours a goddamn week and not being able to see anyone, or do any tending to any sort of anything. So it's awesome to see that. The strawberries, I was doing really good with my strawberries. I've got a June bearing strawberry that I planted 3 or 4 years ago now. This year was the absolute worst year for it, because I had this, I'm going to call it a weed, growing in my yard, and it consumed my fucking strawberries. I didn't even think I got a quart of strawberries out of them this year. End of June, early July, I started like really trying to weed those weeds back and let the strawberries take place. But I don't have, dude, this fucking weed is literally like ground cover. It is something I can't keep up with. It's spreading faster than I would literally have to spend half an hour to an hour a day in a 10-foot fucking by 10-foot strawberry patch to get rid of all these fucking strawberries, or to get rid of all the weeds to save my strawberries. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I think I might just end up fucking terminating that fucking strawberry bed, doing something different in there, something that I can terminate each year because of this ground weed. Like, it's literally everywhere on my property. So it grows around everything, so that everything's in the ground has the potential. It either has to outcompete that fucking weed. So I have to find something that can outcompete this fucking thing, or I have to find something that I can terminate every year. That won't give that weed a chance to fucking settle itself down in. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, is potentially terminating that strawberry bed and letting something else do its thing in there. But on either side of that's so on the one side of the strawberry bed this year, I planted all that round zucchini, and then I've got the butternut squash, the heirloom butternut squash that Alabrije had sent me. So I got that growing up one side of a trellis, and then the round zucchini growing up the other side of the trellis. And I'm fucking just letting them grow up. It's the first time I got a new cattle panel for them to crawl up. It's the first time I've grown anything other than my strawberries in the ground at my house. Intentionally anyways. Like I got a horseradish that I planted in the ground, but not that kind of like intentionally gardening, like your traditional garden. It's the first time I've done it on my property in the ground. I've had the raised beds. And that's simply because of the juggling from the black walnut tree. So if you don't know, the black walnut trees, specifically the roots, but I think even it's contained in the leaves and the branches and everything else, but specifically in the roots, contains a toxin called juggling, I think is how you pronounce it. And that, I don't know what the hell I just did. And that is very toxic to a lot of plants. So I started trying to plant some tomatoes in my house the first year I got it, and they looked like dog shit. And I had wondered why, but not to such an extent that I thought it was something like in my ground or something like that. And then I don't know where I was on and or heard or saw or something like that. And I seen somebody saying, I can't grow anything under my black walnuts, blah, blah, blah. And then that's what sent me down that fucking rabbit hole of holy shit, dude, for real. My fucking black walnut trees that I love because I'm a carpenter and I would love to fucking harvest those one days and make fucking beautiful wood projects out of. I are literally preventing me from growing my own fucking food. Well, that fucking blows. So, like I said, I think I fucking said this story in YAG on like fucking January or February. I went out there with the chainsaw and fucking chopped that one down. But it's this toxin. Some things like corn can grow in it fine. I guess your zucchinis and your or your pumpkins and watermelons, your strawberries, your raspberries, those are all fine. Blueberries are out, tomatoes are out, peppers are out. So all that type of shit, if you got black walnut trees, that cannot go in the ground because of the toxin juggling in it. So I'm basing my whole fucking garden, everything that I plant in and out and around everything has to be on where the fuck these black walnut trees are, where their walnuts have dropped, where has one been cut down in the past and the roots haven't rotted yet and gone away, because even when you cut it down, the roots are still toxic for like years afterwards. So I just fucking moving around the property trying to find places that shit will actually grow and won't be affected by this fucking toxic juggling. God damn it, keep grabbing the wrong fucking lighter. So yeah, I mean, pretty much other than so I had to move my blueberries because I had taken blueberries and planted them out back. I bought new blueberries and I was like, oh man, if the raspberries are good and the strawberries are good, these blueberries got to be fine, right? I planted them and then did the research, typical fucking Johnny Apple style, did some shit and then fucking looked it up. So, yeah, blueberries are extremely sensitive to the fucking juggling. So I'm not even sure if I moved them far enough away from anything. I've got them on like the fucking front yard of my property, like on the fucking mailbox, like where you put your mailbox by the road. That's where my fucking blueberries are now because I just don't have anywhere else to put them. I already bought them, motherfuckers. So it's just like, what else do? You plant them where you can. So I'm just watching these things. I got all the fruit off of them, but they were mostly fruited from the fucking orchard anyways. And then, I'm just watching them. Hopefully they grow this year. I got compost on top of them. I straw mulch around the whole fucking thing so we can walk through them and etc. But I'm hoping that the juggling doesn't fuck with them because there's almost nothing I can grow. Like, all right, so I'm looking at, I got to look up rosemary now because I planted rosemary in my little herb garden that I started. And it just looks like dog shit. It won't grow. It hasn't even fucking grown an inch since I planted it in fucking May. So it's so curious. And now I've also tried to grow fucking, brain fart. I've tried to grow rosemary in other spots around the house, like where my, wow, I'm brain farting today. Jesus Christ. Horseradishes. I've tried to put rosemary in there too. And it never grew. Now I just thought other shit outgrew it. But now that I'm watching this, there might just be something going on that is not happening or it's not happy with the soil. It could be the juggling or something like that. So I got to do some research on my rosemary and why it's not fucking planting and not growing the greatest. Banyan, yeah, I do have soil acidifier for the blueberries. Absolutely. Yeah, because the blueberries, my strawberries, and my raspberries will like a more acidic soil. So I do got some acidifier, which is just Epsom salt. I think it's just Epsom salt. Yeah, pretty sure it's just Epsom salt. But yeah, I got a couple of bags of that around and I put like a cup of it at the base. I haven't done it with the new ones this year. I've done it with my old ones that were planted in my fucking as like a house shrub underneath one of my windows when I first bought the house. Cause like I said, I knew nothing. Still know nothing, know very little more, I would say. But But yeah, I do got the soil acidifier for those because they do like a fucking a lower pH, a more acidic soil. So got that. They're gonna get that for sure. That giant pumpkin, man. So this thing has got to be well over 100 pounds now. If I had to guess, I've got I snapped the first pumpkin I pollinated that it was growing, snapped off, and it weighed like 36.5 pounds, 37 pounds, whatever, right? So I've taken that thing and I use that as my size comparison. And this thing is easily 3 to 4 times the size of that fucking almost 40-pound pumpkin. So I'm really hoping, because they came, Herb sent them to me. Shout out Artificial. He sent them to me and a couple others. Grateful you're growing it too, I think. Strong Island's got it. So it came from what's called prize winner 150-pound pumpkin. So if I got to that 150-pound, I would be fucking stoked. Because normally when you see that, you always, I was like, yeah, it was a big pumpkin. I didn't get 150 pounds, but it was a big fucking girl. I'm really hoping to get to that fucking 150 mark, because that'd just be dope. It did get like a little bug damage fucking planted, like crawling in the stem of it, that I'm slightly worried about. But the thing is so big and so mature that I'm just not seeing whatever that was causing any potential damage to this big ass fruit. I did self-pollinate another one with itself. Now, I'm pretty sure that the big pumpkin I got, I pollinated with that donator. I'm almost certain of it. So the second one I pollinated that's coming up now, that's already bigger than the one that I broke off. So it's already got to be pushing 50 pounds if I had to guess. The second one that I pollinated, not the second, but with the self-pollination, it's already almost 50 pounds. So I've got 2 different pollinated pumpkins, one that was pollinated by itself and then one that was pollinated by something completely fucking different. So that's going to be fun to play with over the next couple of years, I'm thinking. And then I did have the pumpkin just pollinate itself on another vine after the big boy. I had a self-pollinator, and it's the first one that's actually fucking pollinated itself. So shout out to the fucking honeybees doing work around my house, or shout out to the wind, whatever happened, because I could not get anything to take by myself, or by itself. I had to pollinate right off the get-go. I was like, man, I am not seeing pumpkins. And are you self-pollinating? No, because I don't know what the fuck. So that's where I'm at now, man. Was walking around the spearmint I got that was fucking raging. That got covered, absolutely fucking covered in powdery mildew. I'm pretty sure I'm growing powdery mildew, not fucking spearmint. And then like the type of spearmint this is just wild. It's like a 6 foot. I don't know. It's probably something Hungarian, because my aunt gave it to me. And she always has like the weird shit because she's Hungarian, etc. So she's always got weird shit. And it was just like, when I went to look at some more types of mint, like some lemon mint and some fucking wintergreen, that type of shit, I saw I was like, what the fuck is this spearmint? There's different types of spearmint. But yeah, that thing, I got to trim that back even more, because that fucking thing, it's just wild, man. And it like fell over, it probably dumped, like Grateful, like Nerd said, jumped its fucking mildew all over the place. So I'm just spreading fucking mildew spores. And so that's got to get trimmed up. And I do got to get that. I keep forgetting the horseradish. I got to get that moved, because that's too close to my septic system. So I got to get that shit moved, and I got to give that a couple of years in a new, safer space away from my septic, and give that a few years before I can get to it. But man, my uncle saw that, and what he sent me home with, and then what he saw 3 or 4 years later now, because he hasn't been to New York since. So when he was here, my niece graduated high school. So they had a fucking graduation party. So him and the rest of the family was here, and he came to see some of the shit that he had sent with me and some of the shit that I've been doing in the meantime. And when he saw that horseradish, he was floored. He's like, holy shit, dude, this thing's bigger than anything I've ever had. I was like, it's great, man, but it's too close to my shit. So I got to move it. And that's probably why it looks so great, because it's growing in fucking shitty soil. Literally. But yeah, man, it's crazy just moving around here. Like I said, goals. We'll round this episode out by fucking reiterating what my goals for the fucking the orchard are. My goals are to just continue to learn. I don't want to rush anything. My biggest goal is going to be the worm farm right now. Figuring out compost, number one. So I need as much compost as I can get because the worms need bedding. The worms need bedding and the garden needs compost and et cetera, et cetera. So my number one goal right now is figuring out, tightening up the outside. Cause like Stoney said in the last circle episode, it's about to be fall, man. We're so close to fall. We're like, 4 or 5 weeks away from fall actually starting for the end of summer. Or is it the end of summer? I don't remember. I think in the summer it might be September, not August, whatever. So I gotta like finish up with the chickens. The chicken, the run needs a roof over it. The fence line that needs to get fucking finished. I've only got one side of the fence line closed in, so that's got to get done. I got to put doors on my fucking basement stairs. I got to put siding on some of the house still. It's like, so the main goal is to button up the outside, get some shit figured out for next year, get the compost pile figured out, and then get my worm farm more established. Because I think over the winter, I ain't gonna have shit to talk about around here. Because other than my internal garden and my worms, man, if I don't have good fucking breeding worm farm, there's not gonna be much going on in the fucking orchard other than worms and cannabis. So we'll see. Like I said, getting it planned out for next year too is important. So just taking notes and shit that I've learned this year and then planning for next year on like how this did here. What can we do next year? I've really been paying attention to the way the sun rises and falls on my property. So where's the best sunlight? How many more fucking trees do I got to cut down? Do I have to cut any more down? Can I afford to cut any more down? What needs to get moved away from my septic? What needs to fucking get moved away from any black walnuts? That type of shit. So it's basically where I'm at as far as the garden is, just trying to fucking round the year out, man. Grateful. You're right. Shutting shit down is sad. Cause man, that fucking seasonal depression's coming, that fucking, you're barely getting any fucking sunlight. You see maybe 8-10 hours of it a fucking day. If you're lucky. And it's just, man, it's cold outside. You're fucking shoveling snow. Everything's tight and stiff. And bring back the spring, man. Bring back the spring. But we're going to have as much fun with the garden this year as we can. Like I said, we got a bunch of donator pumpkins and shit. So the reason we're even doing pumpkins, because I don't eat pumpkin. The reason I'm doing it is the girls like to decorate the house and shit for Halloween. So being a gardener, I was like, check, don't buy any more fucking pumpkins. I'll just grow these motherfuckers. So just growing them out and then fucking, like decorating the house for fucking Halloween and then just buttoning shit up. Hopefully the corn will be harvested in time. The hella jelly that's outside, hopefully she'll be doing fucking good by then. Not getting fucking bud rot, because every time I grow anything outside that's not an autoflower harvested by now gets fucking bud rot. So we'll see what happens with that. I got the Midnight Marathon. Dude, that thing in the earth box, granted it's only fucking 18 inches tall, but it is purple as shit. The buds on it are really, really purple. So that's curious. And the terps are loud, man. It's really loud. So for an outdoor autoflower, I'm super fucking curious what the hell this is going to bring. So yeah, man, chop that thing down and then just hope the tangies and the hella jellies outside, they do good, because these dense flowers, they get to be something fucking brutal in my area in the fucking fall time. So just hoping to be able to pull some extra harvest on, because like Dad with his harvest, his grow tent inside it's been struggling. We can't figure out why his shit keeps herming. We've had like 6 or 7 different fucking cultivars 3 different grows, all different conditions, all different times a year, and every single time the fucking tent's herming. I've gone in there with the lights off, tent zipped up, been in there, everything, can't find any light leaks. I don't know. I don't babysit his shit, so I can't tell you what exactly he's doing. Could he be doing something wrong? Could he be leaving something open? Could it be leaving something on? I don't fucking know, man. But I'm really hoping to get this outdoor harvested and healthy so that we've got head stash, because I can't grow enough to supply for fucking 4 grown ass adults in one house. You know what I mean? So he's got to get growing his own shit, or I've got to have this outdoor shit that was just supposed to be like extra anyways. I've got to have that ready for him to consume and to fucking be good with. So yeah, man, I guess we'll just fucking round this out by saying, that those are the goals. And don't forget that it's the end of summer, but it's the beginning of something else. So we can hate the fact that we're shutting the shit down and it sucks, but we can look bright. Like, all right, so what's the fall going to bring for us? I know we got the leaves. Leaves are going to be great for making fucking leaf mold, man. Everybody here can make fucking leaf mold. You don't need anything special. You need a black garbage bag and some leaves. And you take your fucking leaves and you shove them in that black garbage bag and you water them. And then in a year, you're going to have the most beautiful black fucking soil you have ever seen in your life. So it's the beginning of something else as something else ends. So I will say just thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.